Welcome back to First Time for Everything. My name is Mello. First thing I want to talk about is the 3.5 millimeter jacks and how they interact with microphones. Now, I ran into a couple of problems, so I want to show you what I learned. The second thing I want to show you is how I wired my YouTube setup. Now, my first goal was I wanted everything to be as clean and neat as possible. If I could hide wires, I want to hide them. If I can't hide them, I wanted to route them properly so at least it looked as clean, as organized as possible. Now, when it comes to surge protectors and battery backups, I wanted to hide them if possible, and I wanted to mount them if possible, just to make it as efficient as it possibly could. The second goal I had was of all the equipment that I own, any equipment that could possibly be used for YouTube, I wanted to have it wired and set up permanently. I didn't want to have to go digging for a CD drive if I needed it and find the matching cord. I didn't want to have to take my dash cam out of my car and also the cord. I just wanted that cord to be here so I didn't have to mess with things too many times. I basically want to come into my YouTube studio, press a button, and just everything comes online. Now, you don't have to go as overboard as I did, but I absolutely love the convenience factor, so I at least wanted to show you. The last thing I want to show you is USB power management. Now, I'm going to go over 5 different types of USB cords and 4 different types of USB speeds when it comes to data transfer. The last part is my computer only has 3 USB ports, but I am currently actively using 6 USB ports, and I'm about ready to add another 2, so I just want to show you how I did that. So let's go ahead and get into it. First thing I want to go over is the 3.5 millimeter jack. The first piece of equipment I bought that had this on it was this microphone here for $20 that came with the cord. Now, I assumed I could just plug this right into my phone and start using it, but I quickly found out that I can't do that and I couldn't figure out why. It took me about a day searching on and off, and I found out it's because this connector right here. See those 2 rings? 2 rings means this 3.5 is a TRS, or tip ring sleeve. Now, that is intended to use for a computer or a DSLR camera, which is not my intent. I wanted it for a cell phone. So if I were to plug this microphone straight into this computer or that computer, I could use that microphone. But I can't use it on a cell phone unless I change the 2 rings to 3 rings, kind of like this. So this is a microphone I also bought, a little $16 lapel mic made by Boya. And apparently this one is already ready to use with my cell phone. But I would need to downgrade this from 3 rings to 2 rings if I wanted to use it for my computer, the exact reverse of this. So what I found out is I have to get an adapter that changes 2 rings to 3 rings, which is TRRS. So because I was working on this right now and I encountered this problem, I would rather go ahead and pay a little bit more and pick this item up at a store, so that way I don't have to order it from Amazon and wait. So I went to 2 Best Buys, I went to 2 Targets, I went to a Walmart Supercenter, I went to a legitimate DSLR camera store, and I went to a cable store. The name of the cable store was Endless Cables, which they didn't have what I needed. Only one of those businesses, one of the 2 Best Buys, sold the product, and they weren't getting any more in for 10 days. The product was $20. It was 1 adapter. And since I was beat, I just went home and I went on Amazon, ordered 3 adapters for $15.50. The first one came in 3 days. The other 2 came in a following 3 days. So 6 days, got all the adapters, got it even cheaper. At the time, I thought I had more adapters than I needed, but it turns out I actually needed one of these adapters, and I wouldn't have found out until I tried to use one of these pieces of equipment in a certain way that I'll show you. So, seeing as I came home empty-handed, I went on Amazon and I bought 3 adapters for $15.50. So, the main adapter that I use is this one here. This adapter was $9. It's 2 female TRS transferred to 1 male TRRS. Now, this will take this mic cord into the mic end, and now I can plug this into my cell phone and I can use the microphone with my cell phone instead of my cell phone mic. The reason I ended up getting a double, even though all I needed was the mic portion, I don't have a dedicated headset, but I figured it splits headphones from the actual microphone. If I can get a product that will possibly help me in the future, I'd rather that than just 1 piece, 1 female to 1 male. So that one was $9. Then I bought this pair for $6.50. This goes from 3 rings to 2 rings, TRRS to TRS. This other one goes from 2 rings to 3 rings. So when I'm using my microphone with my computer or my DSLR camera, I'm all good. But as soon as I want to use it with my phone, I need to use this adapter. Now, with that adapter, I will be able to use this mic with my phone. As for my Boya mic and my gaming headset, both of those are already TRRS. So I can use that with my phone right away. Now, if I want to use either of these with a computer, I now need this other adapter that came with. And that'll get it from TRRS, 3 rings, to 2 rings. Now I can use it with either one of my computers or a DSLR camera. Now, I found this in my stash, still not sure what to use this for, but the most important one that I bought and that I'm using, this is the reverse of that. So instead of a male output, there's a female. And instead of a female port for microphone and headphones, there's a male port for microphone and headphones. As far as I can see, all the equipment I have, they have male ends to plug into something else. So I'm not really sure what the purpose is of this, but I guess I'm glad I have it. Now, dig up wires, because you may have some of these things and you might not even have to pay for them. But that's what I learned is the difference between TRS and TRRS. If you're just starting, look at the cords you have. And if it has 2 rings, that's TRS. 3 rings, TRRS. Computers, from what I can see, at least the 2 laptops I have and the DSLR camera, they need 2 rings, while my cell phone and I guess gaming controllers need 3. The second thing I want to talk to you about is power. The first part is going to be your main power wiring, and the second part is going to be USB power management. Now, the first part, main power wiring, my main goal is to make sure that 1, it's cosmetically appealing, and 2, it is well organized. Now, if you don't care about either of those things, I guess you could run an extension cord through your living room, or you could just plug in a whole bunch of power strips into each other, which you shouldn't do. But I guess if you don't care, you could do that. I do care, because when I decide to come into my studio and start recording or working on whatever, I don't want the distraction of messy wires or wires tangling by my feet. I just want it to be clean and neat. Now, on the organized side, I want to have everything pre-wired, everything already plugged in that I could possibly use at one time. So I want to make sure that everything that I have, all I have to do is turn it on and just start using it. It's already set up and ready to go. I don't have to worry about cords or any of that stuff. Now, the first thing you're going to want to look at, it's the easiest thing to look at, is what is your power situation? For me, I have a 10-foot desk in front of me, and on the immediate left side of the desk, I have a receptacle, and on the immediate right side of the desk, I have a receptacle. Both receptacles have 2 outlets or spots you can plug into, so I have 4 outlets. Now, a couple videos ago, I showed my empty desk and said I was going to bring out all the equipment that I had accrued over the last 15 months, and I was going to show you how little I know about it, why I got it, how much it was, how realistic it is for you to get this equipment, especially over 15 months. That's a slow process, but it's really, really easy to do. Now, when I laid everything out, right after that video, I figured, well, let me plug all this stuff in and make sure it all still works. And I found out that right off the rip, I needed 7 outlets, and I only had 4. And I knew I was going to get another external monitor, and I knew at some point I was going to want to plug in my DSLR camera. So that's 9. So I basically need 9 outlets at any one time available. And if I have 2 and 2, and I take one of those away to have 3, but I'm plugging in a power strip that adds 6, then I'm sitting at 9. I'm already maxed out. I don't want to be maxed out. So I could put 1 power strip over there and 1 power strip over there. So at that point, I would have 14 places to plug in. Now, I could do that, but that would mean that since there's only 1 hole in the center of my desk to get all the wires to go into, and that'd be like the cleanest, most organized way to do it, that's the way I want to do it. If I have power strips on the sides, then all my cords would have to hang over or be pinched against the wall in the desk. And I don't want that. So at some point, I have to get one of these power strips to the center of my desk, and I don't want it where my feet are all in the way. So what I did was I dug up all of my extension cords, all of my power strips, surge protectors, if I had battery backups, anything like that. And I want to see if I can get away with using any stuff that I already have. I suggest you do the same thing, but all of this stuff is affordable. You can get it for pretty cheap. Let me show you. So right here are all of my surge protectors that I found. These guys right here, these are like the cheapest extension cords or power strips that you can get. So one goes in the wall and 3 you can plug into, but there are only 2 prongs. These only have 2 prongs. So you really can't use that for too much, except like this light that I'm using uses a 2 prong. I guess you could do that if you wanted to, but these aren't really worth anything. I use them for Christmas lights. It's really not going to work here. So now this one here is basically an upgraded version of these, where this has 3 prongs going into the wall, and they are 3 prong receptacles or outlets. So I could use this, but I'm taking away 1 and I'm adding 3. So I'm only really adding 2. That doesn't really help too much. These are surge protectors. Some of them are just power strips. These 2 are older. Will you get out of here, Muffin? These 2 are older, and I would use them in like garages or temporary use, but I'd rather use new stuff if I can. Now, I happen to have 3 new ones because of my job. This one I love this one. I've had this one for a long time. This is a 12-foot cord. This is pretty awesome, and it actually has 7 strips. These are kind of expensive. You're probably going to pay like 50, 60 bucks for something like that. And I don't really want that. Now, I can't use these or really any of these because the length of this cord, which is not long at all, there's no way it's going to go from the back corner receptacle back there behind the desk and under here and then back into that drawer. They're just not long enough. And I really don't want to use this awesome cord when I'm going to be wasting 8 feet of it. I need like 4, maybe 5 feet. Luckily, I did have one of these that was 6 feet. So what I did was I mounted it inside here. That surge protector I got after the fact. This power strip I mounted to the wall. You can see the cord is going into the wall, and it's going through the back here, and it's going to that back corner. The way I did that was like this. I used these zip ties with the hole in it. And what I did was I zip tied around the bottom part of the receptacle right here. And I did it in between these 2 outlets. And then I did another one in between the top 2 outlets. And I did another one on the wire. And I used a screwdriver to put screws through these holes. One on the right, the middle one on the left, and the top one on the right, or vice versa. You can have 2 on the left, 1 on the right, but space them out so the middle one is opposite. So that way it holds tension. And now the whole point of this, the reason why I really wanted to do it like this, is because I do not want to have to use 2 hands to unplug and replug. So I can just plug it in or pull it out and it stays on the wall. I don't have to sit there and use 2 hands, get on my hands and knees to do it. These you can get for like 8 to 12 bucks, pretty cheap. These are like 4 to 8 bucks. I don't know, this one's probably like 8 to 10. This is also an outdoor extension cord. Now this this is basically 1 plug goes into the receptacle, but it blocks the other receptacle. So now the benefit of this is not only are you going to be adding 6 outlets, but you're going to be adding 2 of the USB chargers, which I think is pretty cool. So what I ended up doing was I got this power strip temporarily, and then I got the surge protector. Now, the surge protector adds 8 slots, takes up 1, adds 8. You see I still have 3 left on that battery backup. If I'm doing a transfer from my computer to my hard drive or something like that, and the power goes out, I'm not going to stop that process. I'm not going to ruin that transfer. Now for this right here, this I'm going to plug into the wall. I already have the plate off. This is my stand light right here. So I'll unplug that. This is the ring light I'm using. So, wow, that is a lot darker than I thought. Let's see if we can do this quick. Okay, so we got it plugged in. And now I'm going to plug my ring light straight into the wall, power it back up. And I'm going to plug in my lamp as well. So now I'm just going to screw it into the wall so this whole contraption cannot come off. So that I'm kind of just using just to use it. Not a big deal, but now I have it. So as it stands right now, I had 4 outlets. This was 2 outlets, and it went to 6. And I'm using up 1. I don't even need to use an outlet for my light now because it's on USB. Before, I was using that brick, which used up an outlet. Now it's not because it's a USB adapter. So I still have 5 open slots here, plus the USB. I have 3 more on the battery backup, and then I have another 6 up here. So as far as I'm concerned, I could not possibly need any more. So right now, my left receptacle is taken up. The top one is my battery backup power strip, and the bottom one is the white mounted power strip inside the drawer. So between those two, the black battery backup has 8 slots, and the white power strip plugged in has 6. So that's 14 right there. On this right side, I have 6 outlets and 2 USB powers. So for just counting the outlets, I have 20 outlets. I have the ring light to power, that's 1 thing. That light, that's 2. That light, that's 3. That computer, 4. This computer, 5. That monitor, 6. Those external speakers down there, which is 7. I'm gonna get a second external monitor, so that's 8. And then later, I'll plug in my DSLR camera, which I probably will either leave out there or I'll keep it powered in the drawer. So I will have 9 things that need to be plugged into the wall, minus the ring light, because now it's on USB. So now I have 8 things that will need to be plugged in, 20 options. I won't use this thing unless I need to power something on the right side of my desk. So I'm gonna try to keep everything centralized, and I still have 3 more things to put on the battery backup. The only things I can think of right now are those light diffuser thingies that they look like black umbrellas on the outside. On the inside, they're white and have a light shining through them. I'm sure at some point I'm gonna want something like that, but I know so little about it that I'm still calling it thingies. So I'm pretty sure I'm not near that. But at least now I know that I have the power setup I want, where if I want to turn on all of this stuff at once, I can. No mixing plugs, no figuring out if I have places. I've made it easy for me to plug things in and out one-handed, and I'm pretty happy with this setup right now. Can't imagine doing more than double the equipment I have now, especially since this is Josie's. So she's going to be streaming. So a couple of these things plugged in are really just in case she uses this room that I've totally set up. I can't imagine why she would use a different room, but you might not have 2 people with multiple equipment. So this is overkill. I like overkill. I'm pretty happy with this. Now, the second part to covering power is the USB power management. Most important product here is the USB hub. This hub has 1 USB Type A that comes from my computer, and it provides 4 more USB Type A ports. Now, that allows you to obviously put 4 devices into 1 hub, into 1 slot on your computer. Reason this is important is this cheap laptop has 3 USB ports. Josie's has 2 USB ports, and a lot of the newer computers only have 1. Right here, I have a CD, DVD, reader, writer, external, an external hard drive, a dash cam, which I mainly use for Uber, and then the 4th cord is the cord that I use, which is the USB Type-C for my phone. I'm recording on my phone, so obviously I'm going to have to transfer to that. Now, without a USB hub, my only choice is to unplug devices I'm not using right now to plug in devices that I want to use, because I'm limited on the amount of space that I have for USB Type A inputs that I have on the computer. Now, right now, I do not have an external mouse or keyboard, and if I get those, that's 2 more ports down. So I think it's very, very important to have a USB hub. I might even have to get a second one for this because, like I said before, I do not want to be unplugging and replugging things. I want everything to work just by a button. I don't have to worry about dropping that, dropping that, dropping that. I don't even have to touch them. I can just turn them on and go to work. That is the total point of me trying to organize this to the best that I can. Now, USB hubs like this, most of them go to 4 ports. Now, you can get a 4-port 2.0 USB hub for around like $12. Now, the reason this one was worth 18 to me is right now, all 4 of these things are plugged in. Let's assume that my phone was plugged into this right now. So I would have 4 devices that I need to transfer data to and from my laptop. If I turned on my computer, all 4 of these devices would be turned on unless I could turn them on and off as I go. So if I turn on my CD drive, it comes online. See, I'm not even using it. Now it's turning up, and all of this equipment has a certain amount of life in it. I don't know how long before it dies, but now I can power on my dash cam and just by a button, and every time I turn on my computer, that's going to turn on unless I'm able to turn them on and off on the hub. And then if I had my cell phone on, then that would start a data transfer from my phone to my computer to make it available for me to go through. So I just turn off all the things I don't need. One of the 2 main reasons I got this hub and spent a few extra dollars is because I can turn them on and off and not worry about my other devices burning up when I'm not even using them. The second most important reason is because this hub is a USB Type A 3.0. Now, before I go further, I want to go through Type A, Type B, Type C, micro USB, mini USB, and then I want to go all the way back to USB Type A 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and what they mean. I had no idea about 80% of this stuff until I looked it up. So I want to share it with you now. Let me go ahead and unplug this stuff so I can show you the inside of the cords. Now that everything's unplugged, let me show you what a USB Type A, Type B, Type C, mini USB, and micro USB look like, just so you know. Now, the most common USB shape that you would recognize is this one. This is called a USB Type A. Now, a Type B, a USB Type B, looks like this. From my experience, the only 2 times I've ever seen this is on a printer, and it comes with surge protector battery backups. Like literally, this came from the one I just bought. But to be honest, outside of printers 10 years ago, I have never, ever used that cord. But this is a USB Type A. This is a USB Type B. And now the upcoming most common charger that we have is a USB Type C. This is the one that fits upside down or right side up. This is the one that came with my phone. This one right here is called a mini USB. Right now, the only 2 devices that I have that use this are my dash cam and my external CD, DVD reader writer. The micro USB is the last most common charger that we're used to, and this does only fit one way. So I got a whole bunch of these really short ones that I can't really use. Now, when it comes to USB Type A, this guy right here, there are 3 different speeds that this comes in. And I didn't know this until I looked this stuff up, but they're all color-coded. Anytime you see these colors, that's what it means. So you see how inside the plastic is white? This is categorized as a USB Type A 1.0. Now, if we look at the 4 cords that were plugged into my hub, this first one is what came with my cell phone. This one, the inside, the plastic is black. That is categorized as a USB 2.0. Now, if we look at my dash cam is white, so that's a 1.0. And if we look at my hard drive, that one's blue. Blue is always a 3.0, USB Type A 3.0. Then we go to my CD drive, and that is back to a USB Type A 1.0. On 1.0s, the data transfer is 12 megabytes per second. On the black ones, which are 2.0s, the data transfer is 40 times that. This is 480 megabytes per second. When you go to blue, This is 5 gigabytes worth of transfer speed, 10 times the 2.0, 80 times the 1.0. There is a such thing as red, which is a 3.1. That's pretty industrial. I've literally never seen one of those in person, but it is 10 times as fast as a USB 3.0. Now, looking at the purpose of these, my cell phone, seeing that this cord was made with it, can only transfer at a rate of a 2.0, which is 480 megabytes per second. I'm assuming it cannot transfer at 5 gigabytes per second, or the cord would have been built like that. On my dash cam, pretty surprised about this, but this is a USB Type A 1.0, 12 megabytes per second. That means if I am transferring, 144 megabytes from there to there, it's going to take 12 seconds. Now, I kind of wonder if that dash cam can handle a higher transfer speed. If so, when I drive for Uber and have 8 hours, you can only imagine how long it would take to get 8 hours of footage on there for me to edit at another time. It would be worth my time to upgrade this 1.0 cord to a 2.0 cord, but I'll have to find one that's a USB Type A that goes to a mini USB, as long as the inside of this one is black. And that'd be the 2.0. Probably not going to go to a 3.0. This next cord, CD drive, is white. That is a USB Type A 1.0. This is 12 megabytes per second of transfer speed when it comes to data. The typical blank CD that you're writing, let's say you're just doing audio, 700 megabytes, 60 minutes. That's usually the amount. Now, what that would mean is the transfer rate of data from my computer to the CD to write it is going to take roughly 6 minutes to get 700 megabytes worth of data to this drive. Now, this drive is a cheap one. It is only a 4X. What that means is if you're writing 60 minutes worth of audio, it's going to write 4 times faster than that. So it's still the max speed this drive can write at is 4 times, or 15 minutes. So the 1.0 only takes 6 minutes. It actually sends the data to the CD drive 2.5 times faster than the CD drive can write. So if you have a writer that goes at like 60x, which those get kind of expensive, and this is a cheap little external, then yes, you would want to upgrade the cord. But in my case, it wouldn't matter because the CD writes 2.5 times slower than the transfer rate is. The important part comes to hard drives. This hard drive, it's just a 1 terabyte Seagate hard drive. This is a 3.0. This can send data at 5 gigabytes per second to my computer. In this specific case, since this is a 3.0 and the hub is a 3.0, these are compatible at the fastest speeds they were made for. However, once I get to my computer, if you unplug the USB, you see inside there, it's black, which means my computer, and I knew this when I bought it, the max speed that it can receive a transfer rate is 480 megabytes per second. It cannot do 5 gigabytes per second like those devices can, but that's okay. When I get a better computer, I will already have the hard drive and the hub that can handle those faster speeds. Now, if you go to Josie's computer, her computer is definitely better than mine. You look at her USB, you see it's blue. So her computer on this one port can handle 5 gigabytes of data transfer per second. So technically, this hard drive and this hub would be better suited for her computer. So again, on the USB Type A's, which are this shape, blue is 5 gigabytes per second, identified as a USB Type A 3.0. The white is 12 megabytes per second, identified as a USB Type A 1.0. And things like my phone charger, when it's black inside, are 480 megabytes per second, identified as a USB Type A 2.0. Some of these cords are worth updating, some of them are not, but it all matters. So this is a USB Type A. This is a USB Type B. This is a USB Type C. This is a mini USB. This is a micro USB. Let me go ahead and put all this stuff together and make it look pretty again. Last thing I want to mention is I want to talk about speeds and why they are so important. So this is a 1.0, 12 megabytes per second. That's a 3.0, 5 gigabytes per second. That doesn't really matter because, like I said, it writes slower than it receives data. And the phone is a 2.0 at 480 megabytes per second. The speed matters whether it's 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. If you're just dabbling and you got a drone and you're making some quick drone footage once in a while for a Christmas vacation or whatever, cool. But if you're a YouTuber, like imagine if I transferred 8 hours from my dash cam and I was interested in editing it now. I mean, it would be hours before it was done. So I'm definitely going to upgrade that cord, see if things are going to be a little bit faster. And I would love to have a faster computer so that way I could transfer data way faster because it's going to matter. Like imagine when I upgrade my hard drive from a 1 terabyte to a 4 terabyte, I'm going to have to transfer 1 terabyte of information. And at a max speed of 5 gigabytes, that's going to be 200 seconds. Whatever a 3.0 can transfer at, a 2.0 is 10 times less. And a 1.0 is 80 times less overall. So when you transfer from one hard drive to another, everything you have to upgrade, you may as well go to sleep and wake up tomorrow and hopefully the thing will be done. So speeds do matter, especially if you're going to be doing this, hopefully eventually for a living. But if you're going to do this for a constant hobby, you definitely want the right cords. You definitely don't want to pick up a hard drive that can only handle 2.0, even though in my case, my cheap laptop can only handle 2.0. Hers is 3.0. I can't imagine, well, I guess I could imagine how fast that transfer rate would be. So once I have hours worth of video on my hard drive, I'm going to dread putting it on that computer. And it's going to be so quick on that computer that I definitely see the benefit of that. When it comes to repurposing cables, I'm only going to show you the 2 cables I have the most of. These are USB extensions, and this is what they look like. Basically, it extends your USB cable. Anything that takes a USB, it'll make it longer. Now, the only purpose I've actually used this for is my ring light. My ring light is powered by USB, so I used a USB extension. So that way, when I have it plugged into the wall, it actually makes it to the place that I need it to sit so I can record over here. Now, the most common cable I have is micro USB. Now, I can barely use these for anything. I got a Note 4 that I can plug in, but I've accrued all these extra cables that I can't really do anything with. However, as long as you can use eBay or Amazon or something like that, I bought this. So this is an adapter that goes from micro USB to USB Type C. So what I did was I bought 4 of those little pieces for less than $7, and now I'm able to use those cords instead of them being worthless. So I ended up putting 1 in my bedroom, 1 in my living room, 1 in my garage at my desk, and of course 1 here in my YouTube studio. So that's another good way that you can repurpose these micro USBs that nobody really uses anymore. Now, of all 5 of the USBs that I went over, I verified that on eBay and Amazon, they have adapters for these. So if you were going to buy, a 10-foot cord or an 8-foot cord, whatever this is, you might pay $15 or $10 online. But if you already have a micro USB, you can just pay, like $1.50, $1.80 just for this adapter. So now I can use this cord. You can do that with Type A, Type B, Type C, micro USB, and mini USB. All you have to do is buy the adapters. Now that's all I have for you right now. The very next video that I produce is going to be basically like a progress report of where I came from 5 months ago, only producing 5 videos, and the things that I've learned. Basically, I want to be able to look back on my progress, and I'll show you my current YouTube setup, which is almost the same as last time. I've changed a couple of things just to make it more convenient as time goes on. Now, after that, there's a few videos I have planned. One of them is going to be on the 4 microphones that I have. why I got them, and how they work. Another video is going to be about what kind of laptop I think you should have when it comes to YouTube or editing. Now, I'm stuck on laptops because of the convenience of being able to take them anywhere. I know it's a little bit more expensive and a little bit more complicated, but that's what I have, so that's what I'm going to be showing. Now, recently, I just took my first step in learning how to actually edit. I know barely anything, but at some point, I'm going to create a video on the software that I temporarily chose and the things that I've learned. Now, at this point, I've got a lot planned for the future, but for right now, I'm out.